Okay, folks, on the phone with me right now is the one and only whistleblower. Yes, that whistleblower. The one that started all that impeachment stuff in the House of Representatives. But before we get to him, here's a quick little background of the story as we know it. President Trump had a phone call with President Zelensky from the Ukraine, where he talked about getting to the bottom of corruption. And he used the name Biden because he had reports that they were getting money out of the Ukraine via some kind of laundering money scheme or something of that nature. He also wanted info on how the Ukraine may have tried to interfere with the 2016 election. On one end of the phone call was Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, an officer with the NSC, which is the National Security Council. And he is also an expert in Ukrainian matters. And as we all know, he was not a big fan of the president. When President Trump went off script and didn't use Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's talking points, he got upset because Vindman felt that he set foreign policy with the Ukraine and not President Trump. Hey, Mr. Vindman, we didn't elect you for nothing. President can do what he wants. So in a vindictive way to get back at the president, Vindman got himself a whistleblower to report the phone conversation because the president mentioned Biden's name. This started the bogus premise that President Trump was trying to dig up dirt on a political opponent, even though the same thing was done to him with the Steele dossier. And as we all know, the president was impeached in the House, but he was acquitted in the Senate because he did nothing wrong. Now that we got that all set up, I'd like to welcome the whistleblower to the show. Hello, whistleblower. Thank you for being on the program today. We want to caution everyone that we will not be using the whistleblower's real name for national security issues and for his own safety.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm happy to be here with you today and hopefully get some of this stuff straightened out.
Well, that sounds like a good idea to me. My first question for you is about the chain of evidence here. All I can guess is that it goes from goes from Vindman to his boss, who then gets you, so Vindman can tell you, so you can tell Adam Schiff. Is that about right?
Hey, just stop right there, tough guy. You can't try to trick me like that. I don't know, and I have never met with Mr. Schiff.
Never?
Never.
All right, well then let's move on to the next question. Do you know or are you friends with Lieutenant Colonel Vindman?
Well, yeah, sure we are. We went to high school together. I dated his second cousin. We were in the Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts together. I spent time at the Y. We grew up together. But later on, he went into the Army, and I went into the whistleblowing business.
The whistleblowing business?
Yeah, you want to hear me?
Hear you? Yeah, sure, go ahead. My goodness. You know, I always thought it was just a figure of speech, but you actually use a whistle?
Of course I do. How do you think you're going to get people to listen? You got to get them to pay attention right off. And I make a pretty good living doing it. All you need is some high-ranking elected officials who know how to tell a story. The bigger the whopper, the better. The story Vindman had played right into the jealous hands of the Democrats who finally thought they had something on Trump to get him removed from office. As anyone already knows, they have been trying to get rid of him since Election Day.
Really? You think that?
Come on, man. Everybody knows that. They had nothing.
Well, I know it's what a lot of people are saying, and I, for one, believe it. But I didn't really think I'd ever hear you say something like that. Really?
Well, I am the whistleblower, and I am good at what I do.
Well, that seems to be true. But let's get back to Vinman. Are you guys still friends?
Yeah, friends. I wouldn't exactly say we were friends anymore. We had a bit of a disagreement. I kind of called him a bad name, and he's just not talking to me anymore.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's always sad when lifelong friends have a falling out and are no longer friends. Can I ask you what you called them?
Yeah, I called him Finkman. I called him Lieutenant Colonel Finkman.
Wow. Finkman, huh? You called your lifelong friend, the guy that got this whole impeachment thing started, who was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, Finkman.
Yes, I did. And I just feel awful about it. I didn't mean to call him Finkman, but it gets worse than that.
Oh, my. How can it be any worse than you calling Lieutenant Colonel Vinman Finkman?
Yeah, well, I told him if they ever did a remake of The Animal House, he could play Flounder, because he looks just like Flounder when he's in his ROTC uniform when Niedermeyer shows up on the horse and makes him do push-ups.
Holy moly. Wow. But you know what? I'm sure if you call him and apologize, he'll forgive you. I mean, he seems like a nice guy.
I don't want to call him and apologize to him. I really do think he's a Finkman, and he looks like Flounder. And I'm not going to tell him that I'm sorry because I'm not. Do you have any idea what he has done to me? He has ruined my life because he has to be Mr. Big Shot, I speak Ukrainian and I'm the Ukrainian boss in the White House guy. Look, I can't go out in public. I can't go to the Washington social events anymore. I can't sneak around the Capitol building anymore. I can't look for stories so I can blow my whistle. Yeah, look, he's always going to be Finkman to me.
Wow, gee, man, I didn't think it was that bad for you. I mean, everyone seems to be really trying to protect you and not let your name slip out there. And even though it has on a couple occasions by media guys and some of our elected officials here and there, I just didn't think it was that bad. Is there anything you want to say to those people who've tried to get your real name out there in the open?
Well, yeah, I got a lot to say. First, you got my name all wrong. I am not the guy you all think I am. My name is not Eric. It's Steve. Steve the whistleblower. I really wanted to testify just like John Bolton wanted to testify. But that guy said it would be better if I stayed behind the scenes. But I could have cleared this whole thing up if they just would have let me talk.
What guy you talking about?
The guy. You know the guy.
No, I don't know. You said the guy. You said the guy said it would be better if you stayed behind the scenes. How would I know the guy? What guy?
Yeah, that tall guy with the bug eyes. He's a tall guy with bug eyes.
Oh, you mean Congressman Adam Schiff, don't you?
No, I don't.
Come on, man. We all know you talk to him and his staff. I mean, you might as well come clean. Adam Schiff, bug-eyed fella, looks like Andy Kaufman, pain in the neck kind of guy.
Oh, that was Adam Schiff? I thought he said his name was Alan Smith. Ha! I never made the connection. But you know, it sure explains a lot of stuff.
Really? Like what?
Well, he told me not to talk with anyone other than people that gave the password.
Are you telling me through this whole thing, y'all had to set up a password? What was the password?
Well, I really shouldn't say, but I guess because the trial in the Senate is over, it'll be okay. It was Dumpty Trumpty. I was told if anyone asked me any questions about anything, I was supposed to deny everything. Well, was that really Adam Schiff and not Adam Smith? Do you know why everything about me was such a big secret?
Well, in my opinion, it would have been bad for Mr. Schiff and the other Democrat representatives if it was known that Mr. Schiff had talked to you. And since you didn't see any of the hearings, you didn't know that Mr. Schiff claims that he never spoke to you and no one from his staff ever spoke to you. Yet everyone knew you existed and your real name was known long before the hearings even started. Some big secret, huh?
And look, when Lieutenant Colonel Vinman and I talked about this before any of this happened, I told him we could get into a lot of trouble if our names would get out there, and we'd be in the history books forever in a bad way.
What do you mean before any of this happened? Are you telling me this is all made up to do nothing but try and remove Donald Trump from office?
Give me a break. Everyone knows that one. The people who didn't see this one coming from a mile away are people that just don't pay attention. They don't know what's going on. And CNN and MSNBC went along for the ride and did everything the boss told them to do.
Are you now telling me there was a boss of this whole thing? Okay, who was the boss?
Well, I can't reveal her real name. But it rhymes with fancy baloney.
Her name rhymes with fancy baloney. What else did fancy baloney say to you?
Nothing. We never met. If she had a message to get to me, she used the guy we called the dwarf.
The dwarf? This is nuts. What is this, Game of Thrones? Who, may I ask, is the dwarf?
Hey, again, man, I'm not good with names, and I don't remember everybody, but this guy is a real short guy. He wears his pants up over his belly because he's got no hips for his belt to grab onto.
Oh, Jerry Nadler. You're talking about Jerry Nadler.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know who that is.
Well, you know what? I think we need to end our conversation, whistleblower. I think we have enough info right now. But if we get more information, can we speak again?
Anytime, man. This was good for the soul.
Thank you, whistleblower.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard is something to make you think about. Was this impeachment stuff all a bunch of lies to remove President Trump from office? I don't think it was. I personally think it was driven to satisfy whatever base voters the Democrats have, and to try to get any voter that was on the fence to lean in their favor. Ever since the inauguration of Donald Trump, and really even before that, many on the left have been doing everything they could to stop this presidency from happening or even going forward. And they are willing to do anything to stop him in November. The Democrats in the House knew darn well that the Senate wasn't going to convict, yet they went ahead with impeachment. Why? Well, so their willing accomplices in the liberal mainstream media didn't look like a bunch of liars. For over 3 years, the likes of CNN and MSNBC have been promising their viewers impeachment. Well, they kept their promise, didn't they? They didn't get that jail time for Don and the kids, but they got Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and General Flynn is still on the hook. Will the American people ever get justice? I hope so. And rumor does have it that Barr and Durham have a good case of conspiracy to defraud the United States of America going on. So we'll see where that goes. And when Donald Trump is reelected in November, it will show that you can fool all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. Don't let the Democrats and their willing accomplices in the liberal mainstream media fool you. It is time to realize that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people, and that we, the people, need to use social media as the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. Thank you, folks. This is the Liberal Media Takedown. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent.